You're so nice. Thank you. Thank you. Please, thank you very much. I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you. You know, I missed this wonderful program last year because I've been a klutz my entire life. I was in New York City and fell in a hole and broke my femur to tiny bits. But I was the luckiest thing in the world because I got a surgeon at Lenox Hill Hospital who did the NFL players. This is a man who knew femurs. So I'm really lucky. But anyway, I wanted to have that halting step up here. This is the first week I've gone without my cane. But I'd walk on my knees to get here to be with all of you today. You know, I really. Let me say again, too, something about Bob Lynch. Having worked over the many years, as he points out, as long as we both can remember, I think, for the arts and what we really have been through. We went through some very rocky, shaky times here. And what I learned so much from him about perseverance, about kindness, about the fact that he is so willing to put himself out front that we could not have in the United States. We do not have in the United States a greater champion of the arts than Bob Lynch and his wonderful staff. So Bob, thank you for your leadership over these years and what you've done. Now, we got some business to take care of. We've got to talk to all the members of Congress today, but I want you to know right up front, art does not need to apologize to anyone. Nothing. Should you run into the occasional Philistine who believes that there's nothing there for art, I want you to tell them what it does for so many things. One thing, the developing mind of a child. We know already what it does. We've all seen, those of you who work in art and you work with children, haven't you all seen when they start to create how they open up and things that may have bothered them for years but they never talked to an adult about or they don't know anything about, how suddenly those little minds can just let go of whatever it is in their little minds. I see that with teenagers. I know the ones that have those eyes that haunt me and the ones who go around in fear. If they need to talk about it, they need to understand it. One of the greatest examples that I ever remember that, if you remember the years when Kosovo, Serbia were having such awful times and people were leaving in droves and going into camps. And I read in the New York Times about a young Israeli soldier. She didn't know what to do with all those children, and she managed to get hold of large pads of paper and crayons and let them draw. And the thing she said in the New York Times was how sad she felt that the drawings were so black and gloomy. And I said, hooray. What that means, my darling soldier, is that they were able to paint and draw and talk about what was inside them and to get it out. And once you can get it out, you can deal with it. If we didn't do anything else but that for the human being, for the wounded soldier, for everybody else who needs a little love and a little compassion, a little art to open up both sides of that mind, then we have paid our way. But for the pittance of money that we put in the arts, we get back $9.5 billion in the United States Treasury. And all of you as citizens, we know we don't make any other investments that come out that well. Now let me give you more numbers. You know that. Right, you know, like $2 billion for war every week. Can you imagine what we could have done with that money in this country? Okay, so we know about exposing children, and it's so good to have Diane Brown. I was delighted to meet her, and she's carrying on her father's work. Okay, theater, music, dance contribute $30 billion to the American economy every year. Cultural tourism brings visitors from all over the world to our museums and theaters, generating almost $200 billion a year. As we rebuild our economy and create the American jobs, investing in the future of the arts is a wonderful place to start. And we have got reams of information on the economic benefits. Anybody from Rhode Island here? Oh, Cicely, the former mayor of Providence. I hope he's going to tell you about this, but they took 3 square miles, right, David, and made it into an artist area. and made it lower rent so artists could stay there, live there, and work there. And people came from all over the Northeast and the rest of this country simply to go to Providence and to visit there. And we see that over and over again. In New York City, the Metropolitan Museum of Art sells more tickets every year than the Yankees, the Mets, the Knicks, and the whoever else, Jets combined. Did you know that? Every year. But let me tell you, before I go on, I just want to tell you, don't be worried about these folks. They are pretty gentle, and they love to see you, and they love to hear from you, and tell them how critically important it is. Now that we're about to embark upon the study of the brain, which is really quite wonderful, and we're going to be able to have visual proof of what art and that does for the breathing brain. And you know one of the nicest things in the world for us, nobody else in Washington this morning, with everything that's going on here, has the privilege of being in the same room with Yo-Yo Ma. No one. I will tell you that last night there was the most exciting lecture that I have ever seen, and the humanity of this man with that giant talent that he has that came through, and his caring for everybody else. And Yo-Yo, I like to think that came from music, because all of you here who work in music, who walk around with those fragments of tunes in your head all day long, a little lighter step because you know how to dance, the way you can put together words in the eloquent language of poetry. How blessed you are, and how blessed we are to have you with us today. Now I want to introduce to you somebody very special. I am really privileged to have my co-chair this year be Leonard Lance, who's from New Jersey. So as a New Jersey and New York get together again, we can do anything, can't we, Leonard? Nobody's going to mess with us, call me Slaughter or not. But he's been really quite wonderful. And if I can just find this sheet of paper, okay. He worked very closely with the arts in his home state of New Jersey. He's been a member of the New Jersey Council on Humanities, a trustee of the Newark Museum and the McCarter Theater in Princeton. And his staff is a delight to work with, and you're going to find them really right there with us in the trenches every single time. So I'm very excited about having Leonard as my co-chair, looking forward to today and everything, and we will live at least for a week on the incredible music we heard last night from Yo-Yo Ma. So thank you all. Thanks to Bob Lynch. Thanks to Americans for the Arts. And thank you for coming here. We needed to have you in this city today.